By now, you are probably a fan of animatronics, whether it be because of Walt Disney Imagineering, Stan Winston, or maybe even because of Five Nights at Freddy's. We all have that in common. Whatever the case may be, we are sure that Walt, Stan, or Henry would be proud of these creators. So, honoring their fantastic work, we'll take a look at 4 fan-made animatronics. If you consider yourself an animatronic fan, stop this video and subscribe to these awesome creators. Links in the comments and in the description. Walt, Luna Puppets, and Fastpass Facts. If you love animatronics, you have definitely seen Luna's Puppets work. They have created puppets, props, and animatronics for TV series, commercials, films, YouTube channels, or live performances. Luna's Puppets began back in 2010 when Rayton and Andrea Gorby began their journey by building a couple of furry monster puppets for their 2-year-old daughter Luna. And after doing this, that hobby became an obsession. So whenever their daughter designed new characters, they would build them for her. And the following year, they opened their first shop, and Luna's Puppets was born. Rayton Gorby has a background in aerospace machining and mechanical engineering that allowed the team to take traditional hand puppets to boss level and extend their services into animatronic creature effects, prop building, LED DJ helmets, and prosthetics. They've worked on stuff like Netflix's Waffles and Mochi and The Last Blockbuster, and several commercials like the Ohio Lottery or this cute bear named Toxic Toby for Breezometer. They also do puppets and animatronics for music videos for artists like Bad Bunny and Red Fang. They do it all. More recently, they have been restoring a life-size animatronic puppet named Norman, which appeared on Interpol's Evil music video, and which we have talked about before. And if you want to learn more about the history of this animatronic, be sure to click here. They are in the final stages of this restoration, and Norman is looking amazing. Here's where we come in. While working on our abandoned and restored video part 2, we fell in love with Luna's Puppets' work, and we decided that we needed to ask them to create a Walt animatronic for us. A little bit of backstory on Walt and us. We are Luz and Salco, and we began this channel 6 years ago, and because of our passion for theme parks and especially Disney parks, we began discovering and falling in love with other theme parks. But what we have always loved the most are animatronics. We have been lucky enough to talk about all types of animatronics in our videos. Retired and abandoned, restored and submerged animatronics, we've tried to cover them all. So it stands to reason that the next step was to have our own animatronic. So we contacted Luna Puppets to see if they were able to create our channel mascot, Walt, in animatronic form. Walt has been our channel mascot for a while now, so he was the perfect character to bring to life as an animatronic. As many of you Duck Squad members know, Walt is based on the Disneyland Ducks, which we vowed to protect ever since, during one of our live streams, we saw some guests bothering them. So the idea of the Duck Squad and Walt began right there. But to be able to bring Walt to life, we need your help. So we have opened up our Patreon page with new rewards so you can help us reach the final goal and take Walt to the finishing line. For just $1, you can be a part of Walt's history, so we would be so thankful if you could go and check it out. We will be updating you with the developments of Walt as soon as we get them. Also, be sure to follow Luna's Puppets on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Tim Hendriks, Theme Park Animatronics. Tim Hendriks is a German web developer with a passion for all things theme parks. But one of the biggest elements from theme parks that have always fascinated him are animatronics. Because of his talent as a software developer and his passion for animatronics, he decided that he wanted to use his programming skills in a way that would allow him to bring something into the real world, instead of only creating digital products. So he decided to begin building animatronics. That way, he would put his coding skills to use on this project and also explore new skills like 3D printing, making props, and working with electronics. He got his inspiration when a friend gifted him a single board computer. The next step was deciding which animatronic he wanted to create, and the idea came to him instantly. So he began working on O.J. Punctual. O.J. Punctual is one of the main characters from the fantastic Efteling dark ride, Symbolica, which opened back in 2017. Being a lifelong Efteling fan, Hendriks was very excited about the new ride, and OJ ended up being his favorite character. And he seemed like a great start, because the figure only has a couple of movements but is still very detailed. So he began working on the figure. To create this animatronic, Hendriks realized that he could use a 3D printer to get very accurate results on his 3D models. The creation process begins with Blender, an open source 3D suite, where he imports a very generic base model. Then he tries to digitally place the servo motors within the shape of the base model, and figure out the internal structure and mechanisms which will be required for the desired movement. To do this, he needs to examine the original and study the figure in detail. Once the original is more or less complete, he animates the figure in 3D. This allows him to get complete control and a preview of the animation. All the individual parts of the 3D model are then printed and assembled in the real world. He then continues with the electronics part, which is based around a microcontroller and a custom program. To export the animation from the digital to the real world, he developed a Blender add-on that produces position values that can be used by the microcontroller to control the servo motors. Finally, if the figure requires a mask, he creates and 3D prints a mold to cast the mask with silicone. And of course, the costume is a must. And for this part, he has the help of his fiancée, Laura Heiler, who luckily happens to be into sewing. And just like the original animatronics, this fantastic version can randomly play all the court rules, but it can also be directly controlled via a smartphone or tablet. This animatronic was finished in 2019, and Hendriks began working on a second animatronic soon after. His second project was an animatronic beloved by many of us in the theme park animatronics community, the Phantom, from Phantom Manor in Disneyland Paris. This animatronic is embedded in a perfect recreation of the dark and spooky setting where we can initially find him, and it even features Vincent Price's iconic laugh. To create it, Tim used a 3D printer and animated it via Blender again. But this time he used a microcontroller-compatible Arduino to control its 16 servos. But his favorite project is the one that he's working on now, the Jack Sparrow animatronic. This new project has been a big step forward with many technical improvements that include an update and improvement to his Blender add-on. Hendriks is recreating the quick and fluid movements of the animation, which characterize Jack Sparrow and his personality. Apart from the figure, he enjoyed working on all the details of his chair and mimicking it as well as possible. This animatronic looks amazing, and we can't wait to see the final result. In the future, Hendriks wants to use his methods also to create a full-sized animatronic and experiment with more professional robot servos. And he is also experimenting with a more traditional way of controlling animatronics by using disc cams, an old technique used during the era of automatons. Currently, his animatronics are just private displays. Still, he would love the idea of creating something that can be displayed and experienced in the real world to actually fulfill a specific purpose. And on top of that, he wants to share his knowledge, maybe by creating tutorials and teaching his experiences and methods to other DIY animatronic builders. So, hurry up and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Robotica Criat Tronics, Five Nights at Freddy's Animatronics. Robotica Criat Tronics is a Brazilian-based YouTube channel created by Ellie Robotica and dedicated to the construction and engineering of DIY animatronics, specifically Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. They began this journey back in 2005, but they didn't upload their first YouTube video until 2015. One of their first projects they worked on was an amazing arachnid animatronic that was entirely controlled by a PS2 controller. But their most popular projects are their Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics. But not only that, but the creative and resourceful ways they implement to build them. It is pretty amazing to see how they use everyday objects and materials like styrofoam and cardboard boxes instead of using more sophisticated equipment like advanced 3D printers to create the components of the animatronics. Just take a look at how they created their first Five Nights at Freddy's based projects. Using an old CD, an empty case of an Xbox game, card box, wire, paper, and masking tape as their main materials, they were able to create an incredible Freddy Fazbear animatronic. The animatronic was programmed so that it could be controlled by a complex remote controller, and the team created a special mask rig, so the animatronic's movements can be replicated with the movements of the puppeteer controlling the mask. So again, it is so impressive to see how they are able to reuse all of these materials and come up with such an amazing animatronic. One of the most popular projects among their Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics is their full-size Bonnie animatronic. This project is so unique because it is huge, and its movements are very impressive. The animatronic is capable of simulating playing the guitar and several other movements, like tilting its body and eye movements. This is by far the best incarnation of Bonnie in real life. And this is not all. They have also created a full-sized Foxy animatronic that is controlled with a PlayStation 2 controller. This is another pretty impressive animatronic that is capable of making several movements, like its hands, torso, head, and eyes. They have also created an amazing William Afton Springtrap animatronic mask. This is probably their most complex project of all, because this animatronic is so unique and can be fragmented into many different parts. The best of all is that each part can function separately. These animatronics are hand-painted, and the process is documented step by step on Ellie's YouTube channel. So again, hurry up, subscribe, and take a look at how they create all of those fantastic animatronics. The Robot Maker, Tiki Room Bird. The Robot Maker's passion for animatronics started from the first time he experienced the original Tiki Room, and its simple but beautifully done animatronic birds. And this passion grew even larger when getting into the animatronic community. He was introduced to the Rock-afire Explosion Band. But his love for animatronics was sealed when, for his 11th birthday, he took a tour at Garnet Holt Productions. This fantastic tour exposes guests to the tools and talents to design and create exceptional animatronics, unique attractions and shows, and world-class entertainment and education experiences. So, of course, he was completely inspired and wanted to get into the animatronic industry. In the beginning, he decided to acquire animatronics, the first being a Blackbird, made by Creative Engineering for a Wizard of Oz show. This show was created as Creative Engineering's second dark ride, and it was featured in the 1992 Creative Engineering demo tape. But after this, he decided that he also wanted to make animatronics, and not only own them. One of the reasons why he wanted to create animatronics was because he was very inspired by looking at all the artists in the past who have created such incredible characters and shows, and he finds the idea of creating artificial life with metal, plastic, and rubber to be really magical. So he began working on his first project, the Tiki Bird. To create this animatronic, he first designed the character. Then he had a shell made by a 3D sculpture. After that, the mechanism is created on paper and 3D modeled. And then lots of prototypes and printed on a 3D printer to see what works best. Finally, he made this animatronic kit that is currently being manufactured and sold by Colorado Animatronics. This kit comes with 2 movements, head turn, rotary cylinder, and beak, single action cylinder. In addition, it comes with a complete controller package, plenty of lubing, inline flows, hardware, adapters, pneumatic cylinders, Teflon tape, the manual, and much more. This is the first animatronic that the Robot Maker has created, but he is now working on a new project. And while the Tiki Bird is the project he's most proud of, his latest project, an animatronic fortune teller, is the one he's had the most fun with. Apart from creating these animatronics, he also restores them. He is currently working on restoring a Garner Holt human frame, which he wants to turn into a pirate, and an animatronic eagle created by a Disney Imagineer. In the future, the Robot Maker would like to keep designing more animatronic kits and continue restoring figures. But for his long-term plans, he wants to create a larger-scale animation company, and as a personal project, move into the art world and start creating sculptures using animations. So go check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. Be sure to check out the links below and subscribe to these amazing creators. And check out our Patreon to bring Walt to life.